Hi everyone, this is Chase the Channel. My name is Kirill and we talk about watches here. Orient has a wide range of divers. I think everyone has already visited us. However, quite recently, new ones have appeared in small cases and with interesting color designs. Yes, among them, there are also more classic versions, so to speak, on bracelets. And today we have a version with a deep blue shade, as well as versions on leather straps in colorful designs, and an apricot shade. Both models you can purchase in our store, chasetheclub.com. Links will be in the description. Well, here they are, the new Orient divers. They really look fresh. They don't look like most other watches from this Japanese brand. Let's start with the more classic version on the steel bracelet. By the way, on a rather thick bracelet. The case itself is small, with a polished side edge, beveled lugs, satin finished on top. This is also an Orient classic, a screw-down branded crown, and yes, it's essentially a diver with water resistance of 20 atmospheres. This is indicated right here on the back cover. On the other side, we see information about its Japanese origin. The model is also fully assembled and made in Japan, and the bezel has an interesting feature. There's no color separation, it's completely satin finished. Yes, we see the first quarter with minute markings, then every 5, but overall it looks interesting and it rotates in one direction naturally. 120 clicks, it rotates tightly. It's probably one of the tightest bezels among all Orient divers. Quiet clicks, quiet crackling. And flat sapphire glass, not mineral, which is nice. And already under the glass, we find a beautiful matte blue dial. You can slightly feel the presence of a radial gradient like sun ray finishing, but overall the surface is still matte. And the color is so-called navy blue. That is a deep blue with slight flowing light shades. Large pencil-like hands. Indeed, for such a small dial, but the readability is excellent. Look, the indices and hands stand out well. They also have luminescent material. It's good that they didn't add the day of the week, leaving only the date in a frame, and the second hand has a bright yellow tip. The same as on the apricot model, this exact color is listed on the official Orient website. Well, in principle, yes. There is something apricot-like. Here, the sun rays are really sun rays. We see a rather rough satin finish on the dial, but the effect is no less interesting because of it. Here, the shades transition more strongly. From very light apricot, let's say, yes, to almost dark brown, and also a bright yellow tip on the second hand. In general, the series was released a year ago in January 2023. 5 models, 3 on bracelets, also with white and black dials, and 2 on leather straps, another lilac option. All watches have second hands with yellow tips. Such an interesting solution. And if in the apricot version the yellow arrow is generally appropriate, then on the blue one it really stands out and gives a sporty effect. And on the white dial, I'm completely silent. Well, Orient decided to do it this way. In terms of a harmonious combination, I think this option only benefited. Inside, the mechanisms are the same F6722, and notably, it's this kind of reliable Orient mechanics with standard features. That is, despite the reduction in size, everything remains the same. Both types of winding and a 40-hour power reserve. The crown is screwed down, so we unscrew and manually wind in the 0 position. Then we pull out, change the date counterclockwise, and the stop second. In the very extreme position, we move the hands. And note, the hour hand does not cover the date window. So in terms of ergonomics, everything is thought out here too. Luminous material. As you understand, there is no luminous dot on the bezel, but instead, the indices and hands really stand out well. They didn't skimp on the luminous material, and everything is readable from different angles. As expected, they sit neatly on the wrist, as the height at the edges of the lugs is only 46.5 millimeters, the diameter is less than 4 centimeters, just fit, and the thickness is 12.8 millimeters. I draw your attention to the fact that the thickness of the apricot variant is a couple of millimeters more, due to the fact that there are 2 layers of strap passing under the case. But here is a steel bracelet, satin finish. As for its width, I think you've already noticed, 20 millimeters. That is for a 4 centimeter case, well, let's say on the edge. That is probably, if they made it 18 millimeters, it would also look harmonious, but the watch would look more like women's, so a certain masculine component is preserved. That is, the bracelet is really good, also thick, plus women can also wear the model if they wish, but 19 millimeters probably they didn't make because of non-standardness, so they decided to settle on 20 millimeters. And the bracelet here, of course, has a clasp with buttons, also an Orient classic. Fits up to 21 centimeters. Regarding weight, it's very interesting. The bracelet here has such an effect that the weight of the leather version is 88 grams, and here it's almost twice as much, 166 grams. Well, I think you understand perfectly that there's a clear division in the series. Options on bracelets. This is a more classic version which can already be combined with shirts and some suits, despite the yellow tip of the second hand. But the 2 options on leather straps, this is already sport, even such a field style, I would say. Well, that is, it's a wristband strap passing under the case. These are quite bright, flashy colors. So overall, the countryside environment, I think, is the optimal choice. And for summer, both of them will suit perfectly. The strap here, by the way, is not that thick brown in color. Its circumference is about 21 centimeters. But the model is also good in its own way. Brown and beige clothing, I think, will be a wonderful combination. Orient, it seems, caught this trend of reducing the size of models. And finally, we get divers that, in comparison with Mako, for example, or I won't even mention Kanno, which seemed huge against the backdrop of these models. The models seem compact, yet they retained reliability, retained the mechanism, that is, the characteristics of the mechanism are essentially the same, plus sapphire glass, plus the finish hasn't suffered, waterproofness hasn't suffered. So we get everything just in a reduced size, and also in new color solutions, in more classic and more, let's say, field ones. Our entire series has arrived, just in case you were looking for a small Japanese diver at an affordable price. In the end, I would like to know your opinion, which model you liked more. Be sure to write about it in the comments. Well, if you liked this video, then give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That's all. Goodbye, everyone.